of the conference. So without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce Tam Finlay. So Tam is Group Product Manager at Farewill, which is a truly remarkable product, which has actually brought joy and simplicity to the wheels industry, which, you know, when you first hear about it, you don't imagine might be possible. But Farewill is going to be the UK's #1 wheel service. They've won prizes just in this way. And Tam is going to talk to us about some of their adventures and some of the challenges they face in products. So Tam, thank you so much, and welcome to Jam.
Hi, I don't have permission to share my screen.
We will sort that out for you, Tam. Forgive us. Your marvelous presentation, and I have to. In the meantime, by the way, everyone, can we use the claps and the hearts to give Tam the warmest possible welcome? So he knows that you love him, even if we haven't got screen sharing completely working right now. And so
that should now work, Tam, if you try.
Okay, great. Let's press the button this time. Here we go. Great. So I'd like for you to think about the best gift that you've ever received. Maybe it was a Christmas present or a birthday gift. What was it, and who was it from? For me personally, it was a gift from my girlfriend. She gave me a massive Jackson Pollock print. It was such a surprise, and the exact type of art I'm into, by my favorite artist. And I'd recently moved flats, so she knew I wanted to decorate and personalize my room. There was so much emotional thinking behind this. Such a great gift. Now, I want you to think about one of the worst gifts you've received. The ones that were a bit naff, a bit meh, a bit, oh. What comes to mind? For me, this is a Frankie Boyle DVD. Now, this felt like the thinking behind it was, well, they're both Scottish and they've both got ginger beards, so close enough. It served the functional purpose of giving a gift, but there wasn't really any emotional thinking behind it. So what makes the difference? I think the difference is to really delight someone, you need to know them deeply, you need to understand their life and their context, and you need to know what emotion you're trying to give them. This is true in gifts as well as in product. To really delight your customers, you need to know them deeply, you need to understand their experience, their context, and critically, the emotional need that your product is solving, the feeling that your product is giving to your customer. It's empathy, but it's not just regular, oh, I get it, empathy. It's deep emotional empathy. It's I can feel it in my bones empathy. It's I understand what you're feeling and needing right now empathy. But I know from personal experience that it's easy to get stuck in the functional. If the user can get from A to B, then success. At a previous startup, the team and I got completely stuck in the functional. The customers could use our app, but there was no emotional connection happening. We were only focused on getting people from A to B. And it meant we slogged away for months and months, and we hardly got any traction. And after 18 months, we ran out of that excited enthusiasm that's so vital at the start of a business. And I gave up. At Farewill, I've learned to work and start from the emotional layer. We're giving people that Jackson Pollock print level of empathy. Let me share with you what I mean. This emotional layer is where true customer delight is found. Like the perfect gift, when you really know your customer, when you understand their context, and when you really solve for their emotional needs, you can truly delight them. At Farewill, we work in the death industry, which means we help people write their will, we get probate sorted, and we help people arrange funerals. Now, that recoil you've all just felt, that's where our customers are starting from too. That's our customers' emotional context. The anticipation is that it's going to be cold, complex, scary. It's going to be confusing, expensive, and stressful. And so it's stuff we just don't want to deal with. Sadly, this is caused by the industry being set up for itself. They write themselves into wills, they charge thousands of pounds unnecessarily, they bill by the hour, so they're motivated to work slowly. And because of this mystique and this fear, our society doesn't talk about death. We don't want to think about it, and even when we know it's important, we put it off. Oh, I'll sort that out later. Or, it won't happen to me. But this means that 40% of people die without a will, which goes on to cost families tens of thousands of pounds and many, many months of stress and strain. And this could all be completely avoided. So that's what we're focused on solving. It might sound like an oxymoron, but we're bringing delight to the death industry. So how do we get here? Well, for the first year or so, we were thinking very functionally. We cared about our customers and we had empathy for them, but we were framing our thinking around how do we sell people a will? The big change that happened for us was when we moved from the functional to the emotional. We changed our thinking from how do we sell wills online to how do we give people peace of mind? And that really changed our business. We've now got tens of thousands of customers. We're rated 4.9 out of 5 on Trustpilot. We've won several industry awards. And we even get handwritten thank you letters. And we're a death company. So for the rest of my talk, I'd like to share with you how you and your teams can find, embed, and inspire emotional thinking too. First, find the emotional need, the core emotion that's the anchor of your product experience. Find this truth, this hook, this emotional need that your product exists to solve. To find it, ask yourself and your team these 2 essential questions. Best case scenario, what is the feeling that you give your customers? And conversely, what's the worst case scenario feeling? To answer this in your team, look for clues from your customers. What reactions do you get from prototypes? What do you hear from customer service? How do your biggest fans describe you? For us, a few key feelings came out. We wanted people to feel motivated and reassured and protected, and safe and magical and relieved. But the strongest feeling was peace of mind. It felt right. This is the single most important emotion that we're giving to our customers, the end point that we're driving towards, the delightful destination. You'll know you found yours when your customers are saying it back to you. We validated this by reading every single Trustpilot review, and we kept seeing peace of mind, so we knew we were on the right path. So we've identified this single emotional need, and through customer reviews, we've validated it. Next, we want to embed this into our work. We use peace of mind as a lens through which to assess what we're offering our customers. With your team, ask yourself, what are the component parts of the product experience that meet your customers' emotional needs? Where are you delivering delight? And what's stopping people feel it? Now, this will take lots of customer research. I strongly suggest that you carry out research together. Talk to your customers together. Take notes together. Discuss your findings together. This can be so magical and illuminating and motivating for a product team. And if you're not sure how to do this, I've written an explainer. Just search for Farewill how to talk to your customers and it will come up. It's got every step explained in detail. So what does embedding emotion look like? I'd like to share a couple of examples where we've embedded peace of mind into our product experience. We know from research that our customers want reassurance and a helping hand when needed. So our specialist team is available 7 days a week. We're on live chat, we're on the phone, we're on email, however suits you. And we've lots of no-nonsense, easy to understand, plain English explainers covering everything. Our team of specialists also check every single will and respond with personal feedback. This makes sure that everyone's wishes are exactly right. This human-to-human support is a huge part of giving people peace of mind. Also from research, we found that submitting the will was actually quite scary. One woman with a terminal diagnosis told us she didn't want to click pay and send for checking because it felt like giving in to the inevitable. It was thanks to this that we added more visibility to show people what happens after purchase and give peace of mind that it's not final. We also know that our customers want to leave specific gifts to specific people. So we made that really easy. Along with each gift, you can leave a message to the recipient. And sometimes these can be really, really moving. A father leaving his son a watch with a message saying, "Don't let time escape you," leaving you wish you'd said or done something. Tell the people you love how much they mean to you, and don't hold back. And sometimes these messages can be about friendship and charm and humor. One customer left his bike to his friend with the loving message, "You'll need this more than me now, you fat bastard." So we've talked about how to find the emotion and embed it in our product experience. Next, we need to inspire this emotional need across the whole company. Now, this isn't easy, and it takes buy-in from your founders and your leadership team and every one of your colleagues. But if your whole business is focused on this one emotion, then everyone can anchor their work and ideas around it. the way customer services respond to queries, the way you write your marketing copy, the way sales explain services, and even the way you all treat each other at work. If you can all agree across your business what this one emotion is that you're all driving to provide, then all the difficult, squishy, spiky decisions about priorities, the should we, shouldn't we, the this thing or that thing discussions become much clearer. So build this emotional empathy into your culture. As a product manager or a designer or an engineer, take ownership of this. Offer open invites to join with team research. Talk about and share your insights with your whole company by organizing show and tells. Ask for a slot at your next company all hands and share a customer story with everyone. Even better, make talking about customers something that you do every week. At Farewill, we do this every single week with the entire company. We share a story or a review from a customer every single week with everyone. And it means we all know why we're coming to work. We're helping to give people peace of mind. All of us, together. So I invite you to go beyond functional empathy and find the emotional need. Embed this emotion into your product experience and inspire a culture that multiplies and magnifies it. To give your customers the gifts that they'll really remember. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tam, for that. A beautifully lucid and inspiring talk. I just want to say to everybody that we're now going to have a 15-minute Q&A with Tam. And what you can do is you can use the chat in the auditorium to post your questions. And so I'm going to be keeping an eye on the chat there. And so please, and by the way, just after Tam's talk, yes, that's good. All those hearts and applause for a superb talk. So yeah, so Tam, a couple of questions just to kick off with. Tell us about maintaining kind of team cheerfulness and happiness when facing death every day in your work.
Sure. So it's surprising, but it's actually really positive atmosphere at Farewill because we're genuinely helping so many people, and that you can feel that in our culture. And it does genuinely help people feel, and me personally, feel more appreciative of the life I do have. So yeah, everyone's really caring and appreciative of each other and the roles that we're playing. And then obviously there are times when, you know, there's a difficult situation or a customer that resonates with you especially. And so we call it the Farewill Wellness Line, where it's available to anyone to call a counselor, and you can have a session and just talk through what's going on. And we also had the charity Mind come in and talk to us about mental health and how we can just learn about what mental health is and our own mental health and how to look after ourselves and each other. So yeah, it's actually a really, really positive atmosphere, and it helps us all look after each other.
Yeah, amazing. Baking that kind of peace in mind into the texture of working at Farewill as well as for your customers.
Exactly.
Another question, which is from the chat, which is how do you get good feedback loops? And I guess this is with your customers, and you mentioned Trustpilot, but what are the other things you've done to get that really high quality feedback loop from your customers?
Yeah, so like I said, we have a phone line, we have live chat, we have email, and before lockdown, we had my team were on the same bank of desks as the customer service team. So we were I was literally two seats away from the team. And so that feedback is really tight there in terms of the things we're overhearing, and also just like checking in as teams and hearing what their concerns are and what they're seeing, and how we can solve that in the product. And also we do lots, like I said, we do lots and lots of talking to customers directly in the team. So we have a couple of really fantastic researchers at Farewill, but it's not about palming the research off onto them. It's about bringing them into the team and helping them steer and hone your research. And so everyone in the team is really involved and is hearing these stories and the reactions from customers. And then that means that, you know, you have first-hand experience of seeing the problems or seeing the reactions, and suddenly it's real to you, rather than just having, if it's just a kind of handover document, then it's really, really difficult to empathize with just an anonymous person in a document, rather than talking to someone about their experience.
I love it. Yeah, it's almost sort of reacting to the principle out of sight, out of mind, by architecturally, in terms of process, in terms of meetings and everything else, ensuring that everyone is constantly in contact with your customers. And so this kind of brings us to a second question, which I guess everyone here is dealing with in one way or another, which is, how have you managed to maintain this this rather beautiful technique you seem to have developed for ensuring that the most important things are in front of people's minds during COVID, when you're presumably working from home and at a distance?
Yeah. So one thing, we have a really great chief of staff called Angela, who's been really mindful of helping people stay connected while we've all been remote and separate. And so some of the things is just like tweaking and customizing their existing culture. So we still do all hands every week, and we still talk about customers in all hands every week. And we all just pile in a Zoom room, and it's a bit mad at times with trying to screen share and everyone, but it works, and it means that connection's still there, and we all get to see each other at least once a week. And also on the topic of COVID, we had to change, like everyone, I suppose, we had to change our roadmap quite a lot in sort of March, April time. And that meant that, again, it was focused on how can we help the most people. So we have a promise to our customers that we'll get the will back to them within 5 working days. And we managed to stay within that promise, even when at sort of March, April time, the number of wills we were selling was triple or quadruple what we'd expected. And so that meant we had to change our plans and focus on the tools for the specialist team, and make sure they could work quickly and effectively. And it meant that we kept that promise. The team was able to keep that 5 working day promise, and now we're back down to within 1 or 2 days we get back to everyone. And it's because of that nimble focus on peace of mind and the customer.
Yeah, fantastic. I got a question from Gareth Thomas from CarWow on the chat here in the auditorium. Tam, how do you get buy-in to run company-wide sessions on customer reviews? Was there any friction there, or was it just so baked into the culture that it was effortless?
The way I remember it starting was we've always done all hands once a week, and the way I remember it starting was picking out a particularly good Trustpilot and then just saying to everyone, look at this great review we've had, and then slowly it built from there. But it's definitely something that you need to. I've worked in companies in the past where even all hands doesn't happen as frequently as once a week or even twice every 2 weeks. So it's something that you might need to push more for or advocate for. But I think now, if I was to change companies or start my own company, I would make sure this is something that's embedded from the start, and make sure that everyone knows that, I mean, we're all coming to work at service of the customer, aren't we? So let's talk about them and understand them. And I mean, one of the best ways I've seen in the past to get buy-in from senior people is invite them along to research. If you can show them, if you can sit them in front of even a video recording and play that video recording and they can see it in front of them, suddenly they want to fix those problems and they want to prioritize those things. So if you can get in front of your leadership team and even show them a video, that would be a great way to start.
Very cool. And we got a question from Fiona, who, by the way, is yet to fill in her profile information, so I can't say where she's from, but she says, great talk. We've identified trust, peace of mind, and lack of confidence as emotional drivers. Is it important to identify just one, or can it work with more than one emotional need? And basically, how would you compare the two, the benefits of just getting down to a singularity of emotional need?
I would say of those, there's probably one that is more universally agreed than the others within your company. And it will depend on what your service is and what your company is. But if you can distill it down to one thing, then it will mean it's like anything with OKRs or KPIs or goals personally. If you have one direction you're going in, then it will be much, much clearer. But we also, at Farewill, we have kind of underlying values. So peace of mind is the big emotional driver. And then underneath that, we have 3 values, which are about trustworthiness and motivation and accessibility. So we have those kind of principles underneath. So maybe there's a way to frame those around principles and the emotional need on top.
Yeah, structure it like that. Brilliant. And I've got a question from Dave here. Dave's at Quine in product and engineering. And Dave's asking, when building, and I can relate to this a lot, when building a new product, have you got to focus on the functional layer to get something out the door and when you're under pressure and so on and so forth? And are there times where it's sort of tricky to get the empathy into the process right at the outset? And how do you handle that? Because these things are all quite easy in principle, but then in the madness of like, oh no, we got 5 times as many wheels coming through the door, etc. So how do you manage that?
Great question. It's definitely something that is it's a continual learning experience to try and anchor always to the emotional, because like the question says, it's sometimes you've got a tight deadline and you know roughly what you might do and you could just build it and release it. But I would say the mistakes that I've made when I've been more functional than emotional have always led to a longer ripple effect to try and you quickly knock out a landing page and you quickly knock out some internal tool, and then you spend months and months trying to put plasters on plasters on plasters to keep it staying together or working. Whereas if you'd spent that additional time up front, or maybe it's even a week, just to do some prototype testing and be solid with the idea, then that week up front or that extra couple of weeks build time, that will pay for itself very, very quickly because you don't have so many plasters on plasters to try and drag along with you.
Yeah, I guess, just reflecting on my own experiences, I guess one of the areas this must come up is when you're chasing specific metrics, because metrics only ever look so far into the future or so far in terms of their interconnection with other metrics, and having the emotional need in there must help ensure that when you're chasing a short-term metric, the results compound in a good way rather than resulting in product and tech and empathetic debt. Okay, one last question. This is from Louis Chalk, Louis is product manager on the Tesco groceries app. Thank you very much, Louis. You've helped me out a considerable deal during the lockdown. And this is a really interesting question. What challenges have you found interviewing users, especially in the death industry? Because presumably, it's intensely emotional, etc.
Yes. Honestly, it can be difficult at times, emotionally difficult, but like I said towards the start, the reward that you get afterwards, knowing that you're helping people in sometimes tricky situations, is huge. And one I don't want to say trick, one technique that we have is at the start of all the interviews, we make it very clear that If at any time anyone wants to stop, then just say, and there's no pressure to continue. And if any questions that we ask, they're not comfortable answering, just say so and we can skip. And that just kind of sets the tone at the beginning of, it's all about them, it's not about us, and make sure that everyone feels comfortable answering the questions that we're going to ask. And honestly, you'd be surprised how much people want to help. Like, genuinely, after going through something like even just writing a will can be quite an emotional experience. And then so if we email you asking for if you'd be part of feedback, lots of people actually say, yeah, sure, I'm super up for helping. So like I said in my talk, there is this mystique and fear about it, but if you can make it easy and straightforward and delightful, then people are more than happy to talk.
All right, well, Tam, thank you ever so much. That's a gloriously lucid talk, and it sounds like you're doing wonderful work at Farewill. So if everybody could get on the hearts and the claps and everything else and give Tam a massive round of applause. Thank you so much for joining us today, Tam, and see you around the conference.
Thanks, everyone.
And so we're going to leave Tam bathing in those applause, and we're going to invite up, next of all,